Coming from the Truspace, we ain't entertaining neighbors, I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit, now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the Truspace, yeah bitch, welcome to the Truspace. Welcome to the Truspace, yeah bitch, welcome to the Truspace.
What's good, y'all? My name is Open Buck. This is my partner.
Hey guys, this is Hearth. Welcome back to Truspace.
Yep. And we're breaking down the energy of Mars going retrograde in Gemini and how this is going to affect everybody in general. So how do you think this transit of Mars going retrograde motion now in Gemini is going to affect the collective?
So Mars in Gemini. Mars is all about our passions, desires, action, willpower, is aggression. But when we put it through a sign like Gemini, that deal with the air realm, thoughts, ideas, mentality, intellect, that we're having a plan of aggression gaining pushed through a mental like element, which make the fight and on the mental realm, it makes the fight much more less physical but much more lighter in reality. So it makes things much more felt on the mental realm. Like it's instead of getting punched in the physical sense, Mars and Gemini is getting punched in the mental realm, if you know what I'm saying. This is the energy of really arguing. This is the energy of really putting ourselves out there on the mental realm and putting our thoughts and ideas there to argue, analyze, communicate about ideas, then communicate to fix these ideas. But you're gonna realize one thing, it's gonna be just a long chapter of communicating, just to get along about communicating. It's not necessarily about for a conclusion. It's just about just developing communication, and that's like the beauty and the ugly side of Gemini, which is the mutable nature. Sometimes it leads nowhere, but it actually leads somewhere. It's just that the broadness sometimes takes you some places, but at the same time you feel like it didn't take you any place.
Or sometimes the real meaning or the real information isn't in the details, but it's in the broader experience. But if you never trusted Gemini in the pursuit of the truth, or the, that's like maybe like a business venture, or trying to do something that doesn't really make up to do something, but because you went through that experience, now you know how to build up from ground up, and you can go and start something else. It gives you versatility too, which is another trait of Gemini for sure.
And one more thing is that this is gonna really allow us to really think about the way we think about action. Gemini deal with like being dualistic, being analytical in a way that you look at things from multiple perspectives, and that's gonna allow you to take your actions, your passion, and desires, and allow you to broadcast it on a mental level that allow people to analyze it with you, so you could really reformat the way you take action or the way you exert your passion and desires, because Gemini is all about mental exertion in a way that benefit like the market. If you understand Gemini energy, you could be amazing at digital marketing, you could be very well at news media, but the way we go about it, it's very tricky. You gotta know how to say things and not get people offended. You gotta know how to say things with political and things of that nature. That's Gemini energy. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely talking. And when we're wording things out. Dead ass. Babylon for real. Having the conversation go on for sure. And even having Mars in retrograde motion now. So it's just like what you were saying, a whole restructuring on how we take action about these things, and what emotions we exert, or what thoughts and mentalities we exert our energy onto. And I bet with it going in retrograde motion, we may have gone into discussions, arguments, followed trains of thoughts, read books, all of that Gemini energy, collected information in some sort of way, or tried to dispense and share energy in some sort of way. And now we're really starting to see how people responded to it. Were we being a little bit too aggressive? Were we being a little bit too coming on a little bit too strong? Were we not coming on strong enough? Pause. but were we not exerting enough energy in towards starting the conversations that need to be had, into exposing the truth, into bringing some level of communication about to the surface, so it plays out differently in what type of seeds that you have been planting personally. Some people, like say with heavy fire or heavy Martian energy, may come at this type of energy and really go super hard, or other people, with more water, more grounded, more earth type energy may not want to answer the calls, because Mars and Gemini, Mars wants to go, and Gemini's like, shit, me too, bro. So it's like, it's quick discussions, quick things to go, like a Scorpio energy or like a Pisces energy. You may not want to talk, even bring words to something like that. Mm-hmm. But that's the energy that is going around, and that's the energy of where, if you wanted to participate, that's what you're going to have to partake into. Mm-hmm. So depending on what seeds that you have been planting, but either way, this whole retrograde is going to show you how people have been responding to your mode of communication, and how you have been exerting energy based off of how you think about your passions, and how you think about, motivating yourself. The type of ideas that had motivated you to start conversations, and how you've been managing that energy. So people may start attacking you, being more combative, if you have been a little bit too aggressive with these things. That's important to remember that, especially with stuff like, I would say for more like with generational planets, everybody's kind of going through generally the same thing. But when you go into Mars, that it starts playing out, or like more personal planets, it plays out a little bit different in but everybody's personal life. But you can't forget that mirror effect, that your external world is really showing you what's going on inside of you. So all representations of frustration, all representations of, anger and aggression, is how yourself personally is perceiving Mars and how this energy is going. So it may not even just be you who is being more aggressive with your communication, but it may be people expressing that energy to you. But that's all for you as the spirit, as the observer, to see that this is what you are creating in your internal environment, that there is some type of resistance or aggression that is internal, that has to be shown to you from your external world. So it plays out in a multitude of ways, but you're really going to see the receipts of how you have been using your energy. And it may not necessarily just reflect in your actions, but the actions of those around you. And especially because it's in Gemini, those in your immediate surrounding as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So there's some important aspects that's happening right now to Mars in Gemini, are like Saturn, Aquarius. They're having a trine right now, so really putting all this energy into arguing, developing your thoughts and ideals, and really think about the way you think about action. And having this retrograde helping you reorganize the way you go about it is gonna allow you to recreate better opportunities to Saturn, Aquarius. As Saturn is finishing those last degrees, you're polishing your associations, those restrictions you want to create, those long-term networks, groups, friends, great ideas that you want to push forward. That Mars in Gemini is going to allow you to argue for it, talk for it, and things of that nature, but have that structure that you've been developing so far since Saturn been in Aquarius, having that trine, really creating those opportunities. Yeah.
Oh shit, yo, weren't they just on like a witch hunt for Geminis? Looking at all the things that's happening with Kanye for one, and the lawsuits with Donald Trump and shit like that. I even peeped that Mars was in Gemini like that. This nigga literally should have just waited. He's like, oh shit, Mars is gonna go retrograde. He couldn't hold it. Mars was gonna go retrograde, and he couldn't hold it. It's like, damn, bro, I'm gonna have to wait till it goes direct to go and leave and go into Cancer. But just how the planets Mars and Saturn are very, very militant, very,
like work hard, play hard type of energy. Yeah.
Exactly. Very hard working, very solidifying. Saturn can take the high energy of Mars, aka, war, to go break down the wall so that you can solidify your principles, your way of structuring things, your way of going about things. So when these get together, especially in a trine thing, things happen fast,
Mm-hmm.
so fast. And this is why, like, we could see these guys playing a vessel for those attacks. When it comes to, especially when we're talking about air and associations and our conversations and our relationships with people, these things travel fast,
Mm-hmm.
and social media is a great representation of Gemini, Mercurian energy, even Aquarius. How we really connecting with satellites and all of those aspects. This is represent. We got these ideas by looking at how we interact with the environment and the ideas of Gemini and Aquarius in the first place. But because of these capabilities, things happen so quick. So the more communication, the more mental link, things happen at such a high rate with the trine. So looking back into our personal life, if we're willing to exert energy in the right way, things can really take off for us. So it's not to hold back your spear or your energy. Well, maybe right now, because it's going into retrograde, maybe not that you have to, but life is probably going to make it less able for you to exert your energy. But fixate your mind on that, because with this trine, there's a real chance for you to solidify a sense of community, a sense of connection, an avenue of communication where you can communicate, or you can find information, find and share information, and it really be received by a large group of people. And you guys can really do some solidifying, controversial type shit. You see the shadow government trying to utilize this energy, but we can utilize this energy ourselves, and on a broad scale and within our personal life, where we can really use our passions to solidify things. Look at the examples of all of the other things that have been happening, how reality can really get shaken. But the better of a communication network that you have, the better you can communicate your ideas, the more friendships you're going to have, the more things that can be done. And now with that friendly, conversative aspect, you can get out of more situations. You can become friends instead of enemies, and then this is what helps with the solidifying factor, especially now in these days, where if you don't know how to communicate, especially Saturn in Aquarius, communicate in a dynamic way, you know what I mean, have a uniqueness and freshness to the level of communication, and be able to link it with an extended avenue of knowledge, you ain't gonna be able to manifest anything. This is why Aquarius energy, FBI reigns supreme, CIA reigns supreme. You know what I mean? Like these information networks is what's really the backbone of these civilizations, if you get what I mean. And we're seeing that now, for sure. But yeah, that's Mars retrograde energy. So definitely a lot of reanalyzing the battle that's been going on with your mind, how you've been fighting your mind, and how you can go about this to create less resistance in your relationship of initiating thought, initiating conversations. How can you make this flow easily? How can you not cause frustrations and problems with your external environment, but still obtain a level of forward movement?
Like all that exertion into communicating is gonna teach you how to how to become like more organized, and then when there's retrograde, is this gonna allow you to disorganize all of that, and then like learn how to calm down the chatter, so you stop the rubbish, really, the too much chatter. That's something you notice with Mars in Gemini. It's gonna cause you to exert a lot of energy, and that might make you very tired, having Mars, a masculine planet, and a masculine sign too.
hmm Instead of getting lost in the clouds, you learn how to fly the flying nimbus. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's a Mars retrograde in general, if you have this alignment going passing through your first house, how do you think this is going to be hitting these people?
Wow, so there's gonna be a lot of taking action, a lot of communicating going on when it comes to the area of your physical body. This is like the first house deal with your physical constitution. There's gonna be a lot of people gonna telling you about how you look like, how your appearance, how
Mm-hmm.
did your like early environment affect your like physical body and appearance and things of that nature. There's gonna allow you to rework the way actually you see yourself, because it's gonna give you the necessary information that you need to reconstruct yourself and really know how to take action about your personality and how to really move forward from those like first house issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Certain conversations may give more revelations or information in terms of how you can present yourself to, be a little bit more friendly, or for you to move forward a little bit more. Certain keys on what you can include into your personality, certain openness to um, exploring different interests that may in turn be, really affect you in a personal way, but mostly affecting that your personal motivation, your ability to express your identity. I bet you would be running and restructuring that. It may be hard for you to talk about who you are
Hmm.
or how you are, especially you have Aries in your first house. Is like you don't even bring that into words. You probably just oh wait, no, Gemini in your first house, so you'll be a Gemini ascendant. So with the motor mouth running with the Gemini ascendant, and the constant communication, it may be hard to zero in on the thoughts that are actually yours, or on how you actually feel, or what you want to really exert your energy into. um, Man, I can see someone like this with Mars going may trigger like 80 type reactions, giving you a really hypersensitive mind, So really sit back and try and look for your motivations on what's motivating your personal interests, and that's where your source of power and how you can flip that and turn those into positives. So yeah, that's first house. Looking at the second house, how do you think Mars retrograde would hit them?
So there's gonna be a lot of arguing and debating and getting a lot of information about your possession, your money, your value, your sense of stability, and it's gonna allow you to really, since the second house deal with the fixed earth element, and may with the immutable air element here, is gonna allow you to really know like use digital marketing and know how to use words to move around this value and really not make this value so stable and fixated, since with Taurus energy you may not know how to bring it into life and just leave it there. But with Mars and Gemini, you're gonna know how to argue for it and tell people about it, and it's gonna be through your siblings, co-workers, and it's not gonna be so far out there from you.
Mm-hmm. For sure. A whole bunch of information and clues on you how your speech and your way of thinking can really solidify the world around you, and your finances support, just like what you're saying. That's marketing energies for real, where you're really able to communicate value, where you're really able to show people what it is that you value, what it is you're able to offer, what it is that has value, what it is that is able to offer something like that. Being able to give advice to people on what value is, and being able to communicate your own value, being able to really sell yourself. I bet this would be a real focal point in the Mars retrograde, for if you have this moving in your second house, for sure. For sure. Really having you figure out what assets and what ground is motivates you the most, that brings that speech out of you, and what may be holding you back from, if you have issues with self-worth or issues with trust, Mars in retrograde going on right now, because Mars is there, things may get a little bit too combative for on the conversation front, for things to really solidify and get hard. But you don't want to you can transform the aggressive energy into passion. You just have to really start to reassess where it is that you want your energy to be going to, what it is that you want to manifest, and then you can start to analyze where things go wrong, or where your energy is going that takes things away, when you start to slip into the anger side, when it stops being passion. And not running away. You have to test it. Sometimes you're going to get angry, but sometimes you're going to get passionate, and you have to take action and know how it feels in a physical way, or you have to say it and know how it feels to say and speak that truth of that trust, for you to build up a routine and pattern around it, for you to really know how it feels physically.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the second house. How do you think this will be hitting people with this going through the third house?
So this is gonna be a lot of communication, arguing within you guys' immediate surrounding. A lot of speeding up within. This is gonna comes to uh communicating with your brothers, siblings, co-workers, everything within your neighborhood, and really learning how to. You guys may notice the more of the same energy, this things more sped up, and you guys might be careful there, since having too much of one energy is not good, and this having this retrograde might teach you guys how to hold back, and may not how to put too much energy, basically.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Sometimes with a highly stimulating surroundings and environment, it could promote, say if you're a writer and you're around a bunch of other writers, and everything's inspirational to trigger, those writing type aspects. It could be very beneficial, and you can see how that can really push you forward. So that's the type of environment that you're into. Let your passions fly if you can really see yourself exploring your environment, and the people and surroundings that are immediately around you, or the trips that aren't too far. Go and take those chances, go and take those trips, and exert your energy in those fashions. But if your immediate surroundings are serving as distractions, they're taking away your motivation, or they're inflicting more of an angry, like when you look at your immediate surroundings, and your siblings and that type of energy, anger is invoked. That you have to take a step back and realize what is being triggered, and how can you transform this into passion energy? How can you transform this into motivation? It's Mars energy is quick to turn from motivation to frustration, from passion to anger. But just as quick as they turn, we can turn them back, Just look at working out in anger, how quickly, when somebody pisses you off, how you can go and use that to fuel the fire. So it's coming to learn to use that in terms of your immediate surroundings and what's around you, and how to cultivate better surroundings, and how to initiate the conversation for that to begin. So that's the third house. Looking at the fourth house, how do you think this is gonna hit them?
Mars is gonna fall. Mars is gonna fall here, so it's gonna be hard for you guys to, because you guys gonna want to have passionate, aggressive communication, and want to argue and analyze for your own sake and things of that nature. But this is dealing with the home and family domestic issue. So having Mars falling here is like you gotta put your own passion and desires. And if you're gonna argue and analyze, you're gonna make sure it's related somehow to family and domestic issues. Since we're dealing with Cancer, the fourth house, we're dealing with water element. This is dealing with the feelings and the emotion. So you could be very like out the picture, over analyzing, overthinking, while you're needed to do more feeling and things of that nature. So having Mars retrograde here is gonna make you really have an eye opening to the way you process information with home and family.
Absolutely. You may find that you're giving too much energy into thinking about how you feel, instead of allowing yourself to really feel it first, and allow yourself to feel it first, and then mentally organize it after. Because otherwise, you might just be conceptualizing potential feelings, instead of positively assimilating information from the feelings that you receive. It kind of puts you ahead of yourself, aka that's anxiety type energy, where You know, you project things into the future, and you don't let them hit you first. So now you're going to be worried and overthinking about how you might feel, you know, and you don't want to get into that type of energy in that negative sense. But you can see how it can be flipped in terms of how anxiety can quickly be turned into excitement depending on the things that are involved, or how you're looking at it. Because if you're projecting a certain feeling into the future that is positive, that's elative, you're going to get excited for the future. So I bet this will be a key thing for you, and to balance, especially with the fourth house when we're talking about comforts and homes, you know. Gemini is very exploratory, so giving Mars the exploratory type aspect, you're gonna have to accept that you're gonna have to test and explore ways to find this comfort, or ways to bring comfort and in a loving and type of environment to you, to cultivate a type of safe haven. That's what your fourth house is supposed to be. So communication definitely does make for an efficient safe haven. And whether you're manifesting more anger and aggression, let you know what side of the spectrum that you're on and what you need to transform this into. For sure. And that's the fourth house. How do you think this is going on for people who have this alignment in their fifth house?
So this is gonna allow you guys to take more, to be more passionate about arguing and analyzing and letting people know about what's going on when it comes to the area of your social life, your creativity, your self-expression, your children. And like when it comes to your children, that's like your children is like your first creative thoughts. So that's, if you can't take care of your creativity, you gotta protect those children first and things of that nature. So having Mars in Gemini, this is gonna allow you to really go out there and communicate and let the world know about your creative thoughts, what you've been wanting to express, and things of that nature, and allow information to get traveled there. And it's gonna allow you to really reorganize whether you're going whether you're doing the correct thing when it comes to your self-expression through hearing the right information, hearing people telling you about what you're doing. This is because you're dealing with Leo here, and Gemini here is going to tell people about Leo all the time, and it's going to let Leo know what to do and what not to do, and that's what Leo likes to do, because Leo likes the stage, so he is going to actually enjoy this.
Absolutely, where it may be, very beneficial, where it helps you communicate about the things that you are genuinely into, the things that you generally entertain, the things that you want to showcase and creatively express to the world, how you feel about things, and how you go about expressing those things. Bringing words to the feeling and emotions that you have inside is being triggered. But whether you're manifesting more frustration when you're trying to bring words to your creative, or maybe even, since we're talking about the fifth house, embarrassment, then it's letting you know that maybe you're giving your energy into wrong things. Maybe it's a little bit too dispersed or too disattached, and it's not something that you checked through that personal bag that you really connected to you as an individual, and it's left a little bit too diverse, or too scatterbrained. So when you start to present this to other people as if this is you and how you feel, maybe you experience more anger, frustration, or it's hard for you to, maybe you go too hard with your expression, or you get too domineering with your thought patterns and the way that you would communicate, instead of getting into the energy of sharing this with people, if you get what I mean. Sharing with them in a generous type fashion, not forcing them to come along, but more of an invitation. This retrograde will really expose you to, whether you're offering an open, friendly invitation for a conversation about the things that you're entertained into, or if you're given an invitation to war and battle out the debate about what we should be giving our creative energy into. And what side of the spectrum that you want to be in, for you to really manifest more fun, more happiness, and less embarrassment. It really could lead into embarrassment, if you don't know what you're talking about, or if you're talking about can get more aggressive, you quickly ruin your fun time trying to defend your fun time, you know, and that's something that could be shown during this retrograde. So that is the fifth house. The sixth house, how you think this is gonna hit them?
So you guys gonna be passionate about debating, arguing about the area of work, health, routine, pattern, things of that nature. But this is dealing with Virgo here, so these with like practicalizing and really making things detailed and finalized. While Mars in Gemini demand you to really communicate there and take action and learn as you go. Which is something that maybe the sixth house does not like. So this might bring a lot of chaos, especially with the retrograde. So it's gonna cause a lot of confusion to the area of your work routine, especially health and things of that nature. So definitely watch out. Don't waste your energy when it comes to these conversations. It's gonna take you away from your work or your routine. That's necessary for you to maintain your health and things of that nature. Also, this might give you help you or find the right information that you need to facilitate your work better, or figure out how you could communicate better when it comes to your siblings, co-workers within your neighborhood, so you can make these things within your immediate surroundings easier for you to do and to lead to work and things of that nature.
A higher efficiency of work. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, for sure. I can see this Mars and Gemini in your sixth house. I can see this. What was I gonna say? Where people are really asking you for your receipts, you know, and depending on how if you're going a little bit too hard, a little bit too aggressive, you may have people, you know, since it's going in your sixth house and how you're giving service, you know, you have people trying, you know, pointing to lack of ground that you have, lack of. Yeah, my bad. But yeah, lack of ground you have, lack of proof, you know, that you have. Lack of efficiency in certain things because you're going a little bit too hard into the communicative aspect, and you know, and not being more curious and being more in depth with your education or with your thought process and how you go about your day-to-day routines, you know. But if you know you're on the right side of Mars and you're inflicting more passion and you're inflicting more motivation, then just like what Harith was saying, you know, it's going to key you into how you can structure your daily routine, cue you into the daily habits that you can generate that helps boost your motivation, that helps boost your passion, instead of, you know, being in the routine and pattern or rut of people keep on challenging your ideas and saying that your communication isn't going to lead to efficiency, or your ideas are impractical. You know what I mean? But you may just be coming a little bit too hard and not directing enough of your energy into creating a daily routine about collecting this information, and inevitably you will have the receipts for the thoughts that you have, but you have to tame the mind first, win the battle of the mind first. So as the sixth house, looking at the seventh house, how do you think this is going to hit them?
Mars gonna be debilitated here, so it's gonna be very hard for you guys to bring that personal energy of your own passion and desires when it comes to your own, what you want to argue about, what you want to analyze with, when it comes to your relationship, the people you're in close, like marriage, like relationship, contract, people you want to move forward with, initiate type of like business type of relationship, be a relationship that deals with friends and things of that nature. But here you're gonna realize that you might be doing a lot of arguing, analyzing, going back and forth, and instead of like initiate the relationship and then going through it and things of that nature, where Gemini might make you like go back and forth in initiating that relationship, which might almost like lead you in nowhere and things of that nature. So there's a lot of thinking about relationship and the way you go about relationship and things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, with the energy, if you're going a little bit too aggressive with this Mars energy and Gemini in your seventh house, maybe you're creating more friendships, more relationships than you can even handle, or that you can effectively give energy into. And maybe it's stifling your motivation to be a good friend, or to be social, or to go out, the extra mile, and to create these partnerships, because there's so much partnerships to juggle that maybe it's confusing or distorting your view on partnerships in general. You know what I mean? And I bet this happens a lot with people, because with Gemini in the seventh house, that sounds like you would be trying and testing and having a lot of friends, be really in the social sphere. So when Mars passing through there, maybe you can be more combative, or um, more friction going on into your relationships happening on a broad front, and maybe it seems like it's hard to communicate to people, or that when you do talk, it always seems to get into a fight, or it always seems to that you seem to agitate people or something like that. But that she just knows that you're putting a little bit too much energy into anger and aggression and frustration, and those are coming out into your speech. You have to find ways to transform them into motivation and passion, and then through your speech you'll start to see that your partnerships start to line up, because you communicated the actual problem instead of just complained and shook your fist at it, but you communicated the solutions and the entire mentalities that went behind it, so you could rectify your relationships. So yeah, that's the seventh house. Looking at the eighth house, how do you think this is going to hit them?
So you guys gonna take a lot of action and put a lot of passion into arguing and analyzing about the area of like death, sex, occult, mysticism, power and control issues. This is gonna bring a lot of necessary conversation, which is important, since we're dealing with like a
Yeah.
fixed water sign. It's gonna be dealing with things in the eighth house is very lethargic and ice water. So having mutable air comes here, it could be very like refreshing. It could bring this necessary conversation that could bring you like life to death, which is kind of funny. We talk about the respiratory system, Gemini, and then we talk about the house of death, the eighth house. So that might allow you to really bring those necessary conversation ideas, ways of analyzing, and see how you go about communicate about your vulnerabilities and things of that nature.
For sure. That made me think of, taking a deep breath, and, really inhaling it to the bottom of your,
You know, do you know?
your body. And that's the best breath.
Do you know Elliot Hills? He has this say. Oh, he has this saying of taking a deep breath to your balls.
Breathe to your
Yeah,
balls.
breathe to your balls. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, breathe to your balls.
But that's real shit. Yo, that Nick, he might be a Gemini sun, Scorpio moon, or some shit like that. But that's funny. But for sure, the conversation, even just bringing the conversation to the eighth house, is very healing in a way. But if you're too into the aggression and anger side of Mars, maybe it can play out as defense mechanisms to certain vulnerable spots, certain insecurities, that when the conversation comes here, you get more defensive and combative, or maybe you talk a whole bunch so that the topic changes, or you make light of your insecurities and your soft spot and your traumas a little bit too hard. But having this retrograde going through your eighth house, and you're using it for more motivation, and you're using it for more passion, you may find yourself talking about your insecurities to free yourself from them, to put them out there, to conceptualize them, to communicate them with friends, and put them into words, and bringing them out of that dark place. It kind of would take away a lot of their power, and instead of the power going into suppression, now there's free energy for you to use to liberate yourself, and to feel more expansion. So there's a real opportunity for you to be free and liberated from your vulnerabilities and from your trauma, by talking about them, by finding healthy ways to exert that energy from those past memories. Otherwise, you'll just fall into more frustrating situations where you have to talk about those traumas, and it puts you more back into your shell, and makes you more defensive, and more self-conscious of your vulnerabilities. So if you sense that aggression and frustration, you really what energy that you have to try and aim for. So that is the 8th house. Looking at the 9th house, how you think this will hit them?
So you're gonna be passionate about arguing, analyzing about God, spirituality, religion, your higher understanding of things. This is gonna be a lot of like rhetoric and like tap dancing around the topic of God, depending on which side you are. If you know how to argue and develop more information, then you're gonna learn more about like talking to people. But if you just keep tap dancing around the topic about God, who He really is, or like what truly do you truly believe in, what is like your spiritual sovereignty and things of that nature, then that'd be bad for you, because the retrograde is gonna bring a lot of chaos, a lot of information to be pushed back and forth about how do you really see God, and like your understanding of that. And like it's gonna require you to have like a broad vision, instead of having this meticulous mind of like Gemini, especially having Mars in Gemini, making you put energy into communicating about it.
And then you can get into too heavy, exerting, and get to the frustration and the aggression energy when you're exerting the communicating about your spirituality, or communicating about your personal perspective on spirituality and all of that type of that energy, instead of the curious side of Gemini, where you're collecting information about these things. When you're passionate about these things and you're talking for the collection of these energies, not talking so that your mind and your mentality can dominate. And in that, you could be really talking or triggering, or if you're getting into the more aggression side, more narrow-mindedness of spirituality, more narrow-mindedness of your experiences in general, where you look at the fine details, you're kind of completely missing the whole lesson and in the whole experience, because you have a little bit too much aggression or frustration energy that you're expressing. Try and neutralize that, or transform it into passion and motivation, and then you will feel the curiosity to go through these experiences, to talk about things, and the conversation leads you into more experiences, so you can develop more knowledge that you can do and talk about it. Just that blind curiosity of exploring and generating more, exerting your energy into doing that. Now you're really going to have the knowledge that you're trying to communicate, instead of without having to get lost into the details when you have the experience to back it up.
Like you might forget that the 9th house is such a broad area of traveling. You putting all this energy into the Gemini, dealing with like within your immediate surroundings, short distance traveling. You may not realize how much distance you actually need to travel. You didn't realize how broad the Sagittarius is.
You goddamn right, and you're here getting frustrated at level 1 or the first obstacle course, getting stuck on that, not realizing there's a long way to go, for sure. And that's the 9th house. That's how the 9th house is looking. People who have this Mars going retrograde in the 10th house, how is this gonna hit them?
So this is gonna be great for you guys who want to build on your business, your public life, your status, because Mars is gonna be exalted here. It's gonna allow you guys to really work hard and exert energies and figure out how do people see you guys through hearing the right information, through understanding, arguing, analyzing with people. Those arguments, those analyzation you guys gonna have when it comes to people in your public life is going to lead to further development of what you guys do when it comes to your work, your business, your status, or you guys may realize having the Mars exaltation there, that might put you guys in too much energy about work, business, public life. So you guys might need to back off and may not learn how to put so much energy there, and understand how the 10th house deal with business. It deals with practicality. It does not necessarily deal with you putting all this energy into arguing, analyzing. Sometimes after you initiate a business, you have to just follow through with your plan. You don't have to necessarily add more information always. And you may even realize with this alignment, with this retrograde right now, all these communication things that's going on might like slow down with your business. It might fuck up the bag, basically.
Absolutely, giving more energy into the chatter, into what's going on, to the little details, into the gossip. That would so fuck up the bag. Absolutely, more so putting that into actually having the conversations with people, having more of a in depth thing. You know, where you don't let your mind get as distorted, but you wait till you can actually have the conversations, and you wait to know to the information that you actually do have access to, and you allow the curiosity to linger and not force you to jump to conclusions, because that's what's going to make you fuck up the bag, you know. And now there's more. Now you're arguing for status. Now you may get into where it's a battle um, for status, or for you have to communicate and advocate for your position, or advocate and fight for your responsibilities, instead of, you know, exploring the possibilities of your responsibilities, exploring the possibilities of statuses that you can hold. That's with when you transform into motivation and passion. So you can really push forward how the role that you play in the world, or hold that back depending on how you handle this Mars retrograde. So that's the 10th house. Looking at the 11th house, how do you think this is going to hit them?
So you guys gonna put a lot of actions and passion and desires into arguing and analyzing about the area of friends group, those people you want to build long-term association with, to like progress society, people you want to like create invention with, and things of that nature. By having Mars and Gemini right here, all this over analyzation, over arguing is gonna help you push that group further. And the 11th house deals with fixed air, so this is gonna allow you to actually like mutate and maybe add more information onto your associate, your groups, and learn how not to be so fixated with your groups and your associate and your friends and things of that nature. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Where I bet when Gemini and Aquarius get together, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, you know, and then Mars is adding all of this energy, where Mars may add the more energy, where it becomes frustrating when the conversation maybe has to be so much words are being said in such a fixated aspect, where, you know, it's just around certain ideas, you know, around certain like-minded people, and it's kind of preventing the um, broad-mindedness, or curiosity being built on a multiple level, where you may start to develop the mentalities of us and others, you know, type deal, you know, and have more energy going into that, instead of community, you know, and connecting with like-minded individuals. You know, with the more aggression and frustration, you start incorporating the rebellion type energy of the 11th house and the Aquarian energy, and that's what you're talking about, and that's what sustains the conversation. You know, the going against, you know, the being separate than, you know, like the hipster type energy, the being different than, and you know, and putting way more energy into that is going to manifest way more frustration and anger in terms of your mode of expression. But when you transform that into motivation, and you're really looking at your 11th house and the truth that you want to stand for, the people that you want to be associated around, you're really trying to create a sense of community, and to have a community for communicative outlets, you know, for you to have a dynamic social life of people that you can communicate like-minded things to, in a healthier aspects, where the foundation isn't fighting against a particular people, but, you know, defending your tribe, you know. When that's the foundation of, you know, your passion and motivation, and your drive to communicate on such a large aspect, and to have all of these friends, it's to push that a positive message and not a negative one. And yeah, that's how it looked like in your 11th house. If you have this in your 12th house, I think this will hit.
So this is gonna give you guys energy to be passionate, aggressive about arguing, analyzing about your dreams, illusions, which could be good and bad, because all this analyzation, this argument is gonna make you either want to escape reality and now want to talk about what's happening with your subconscious mind, or your understanding of reality, your dreams and things of that nature, or these arguments, these things that's going on with your communication are really forcing you to go out there and tell people how do you see things, your belief system and things of that nature, and it's gonna actually allow you to break through how your subconscious mind may have some hold on you through communicating and putting energy through letting people know, since the 12 could be so deep that we may not never put any energy actually about talking about it. So that's what actually lead into it being so lethargic, and actually not realizing that, oh, we could actually talk about our subconscious mind. Like this might be an open like an opening type of transit with a retrograde. Oh, I developed all these words about what happened when it comes to my dreams, illusions. I actually could talk about these type of crazy things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And once again, we can use. I love the example because Kanye's a Pisces moon and a Gemini sun, so it's literally that energy. And look at how he's trying to talk about the things that have built up his subconscious mind, and a lot of them is true. But we're getting lost in the words and the rhetoric, and not seeing the energy that is behind the scenes of what's really being built up.
But this is why you could feel his intent of compassion. You can't say his intent is not pure. You cannot say that. It's just the words. That's the fucked up.
But how do you get through that, especially when it's been so hushed, especially when it's so subconscious, when it's so in the non-physical realm, especially when we're talking about, like, they want to compare Holocaust to slavery, and stuff like that. It's like, how do you compare atrocities like that? How do you compare psychological damage? How do you compare, how do you do that? Say this one's worse than all of that. You can't. You're playing with energy. There's nothing tangible. There's nothing, facts and things that you can deduce on there on how people felt about a certain tragedy happening to them, So that whole energy is kind of hard to bring a conversation to. But look how essential him bringing the conversation up, and now it's on the surface, and now we're forced to find ways to conversate about these things. But just like what you're saying, if he didn't come with such angry, if he took note of his Martian energy and didn't try and come off so angry and compassionate, but it showed more of his passion side and the fact that he was motivated, that this is divine anger, that this is, like
divine anger. That's the perfect food.
Exactly. And this is where you can transform it to more motivation and more passion to discover more about your subconscious, to bring more conversation about it, If he came out about it with it was more broad and opening, and this is Pisces, the energy of Pisces, where it feels like it's a beginning, but it's the ending of something, but it's the beginning of letting you know that something else can come of this energy. So that's the energy that it can come with. And he got lost into the conclusion energy that this is the 12th zodiac, that this is the end of the cycle. But if you're coming with the energy of understanding that a new cycle can develop from this, and that you're willing to learn more and stuff like that, you'll see that even if you do put your foot in your mouth and say the wrong things, that it's accepted, and that you're accepted for it, and that it still helps you move and progress forward. Yeah, for sure. And that's the 12th house. So that's this alignment going through all the 12 houses. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. Follow us on Instagram, Truspace_. Check out our website, Truspace.biz. And have a nice night, y'all.
Good night. Take care, guys.
Peace out, guys.